what this isn't really a question or anything like that, but I just kind of wanted to bring it up to you. You know, one of the first times I heard a Daptone record, I didn't even know it was a Daptone record, was the Frightnrs and everything. And the Frightnrs, man, they had such an impact on me, man. Like I was, you know, I listened to them, and I was like, yo, this guy's voice is crazy. He has such a distinctive voice. And then when I heard like the whole story, his life story and what had gone down, it's crazy to hear how imminent it sounded in the album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he was writing it, and then like from what I heard, from what I understand, like nobody really knew his condition or anything like that. But I just wanted to say that because it was an album that I had a lot of impact in. I think you said that some of that stuff was mixed and mastered here.
It was all mixed here. Yeah. Victor Axelrod is like old buddy. I met him in like '97. We started making records together, and he was actually just here last week. He just left a couple nights ago. But he produced that record, and he's been, he's always played organ and piano on a lot of Dap Kings records and a lot of Daptone records. He played in Antibalas, he played with the Dap Kings, he played with a lot of, he's always been kind of a core member of the family.
Right.
But aside from being a great musician, he's also a great producer. And he'd been making reggae records for a long time, producing reggae records.
Right.
From before I met him, he was always making reggae records. And we were always kind of trying to work together to do like, to let him produce a record on Daptone. And there was this kind of obvious sweet spot, which was like Rocksteady, right?
Okay.
Which is kind of like, it's reggae, but it's also kind of sweet. It's like Sweet Soul. It's the same. It's really the same music, just different rhythms,
Right.
And when he brought the Frightnrs to us, we all talked about this concept of making like a true Rocksteady record, And he started working with those guys, and man, that to me is, to be honest, I had very little to do with that record. I wish I could brag about it, but that was them, and that was Victor, man. Victor was a huge part of what made that record. That record, like when he was mixing, I was just here on the couch, just
cool.
smoking weed and enjoying it.
Right.
Little comments here and there to help him out.
That's so
but just being ears for him. And Victor and I always, man, like. He always sends me mixes, and I always send him mixes of whatever we're working on. He came out and played the Leaf Field. He was on the Leaf Fields album we recorded out here. Yeah. So I'm always sending him stuff, and I always use his ears, and he always uses mine, man. So he's a real good friend of mine. And yeah, Dan Klein, man, unbelievable singer. And you're right. While that record was going on, I remember having this conversation with Victor, where he's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to get the kid to sing," but he just like gets tired. He's like. And we all thought he was being lazy or whiny or something. We're like, what's with this kid? You know what I mean? Like, why doesn't he just come and sing? And when he was singing, you could tell there was this pain. It was coming through pain. Like there was a struggle there. Yeah. On that record. And so in hindsight, like we all looked at him. Jesus, that's what he was going through.
Yeah, I mean, but you guys, I mean, how could you know?
No. I mean, I'm not like faulting ourselves, but and I didn't get to know him until, because I was out here, So when I fly to New York, I'd hit him and stuff, but then once he got sick, I would go and visit him in his house, I'd go visit his parents, even after he passed, I stayed in touch with his dad pretty close and stuff, and I'd go visit him and stuff. And actually, the night that he passed away, I think it was in June, we were playing with Sharon at Prospect Park, which wasn't that far from his apartment. And I'd put together this thing for our 100th 45, this soul fugue, this long instrumental thing where I got like 50 horn players, like every horn player I'd ever worked with, and a couple drummers, and did this big like fugue that right now I was real into it. I was kind of crazy about it. And I'd kind of played, I was working on it, I'd played some of that stuff for Dan, and I'd gone by, and he played me some music and stuff. We'd go by there, and then he came down, he was in a wheelchair, but his dad brought him from the apartment. He was in a wheelchair by then, he couldn't move around a lot, but he brought him down to Prospect Park, and he kind of sat near the sound booth and watched the show. And he texted me like a little after midnight. It was like, man, Soul Fugue sounded great. It was a great show. I'm so glad that my dad dragged me out there or something. And that was the last I heard from his dad. Called us in the morning, told us that he passed away. But it was pretty crazy, man. Like his last night, he was at Prospect Park at that Sharon show and stuff.
That's wild.
And, yeah.
To go from just being out and then.
And man, we were trying so hard to get that record out before he passed, and it was
to see.
And it's frustrating because the artwork kept getting tweaked, and manufacturing takes forever, and it was one thing after another, and we didn't make it, man. Like the record came out, I think a month or two after he passed, So it was that was really heartbreaking. I wish he could have lived to see his record come out, But I think. Yeah. man, I think that may be the best record that Daptone ever put out. It's a great record.
It's beautiful.
It's a really beautiful record. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard it on college radio KUCR. I was driving and then I can't remember what was the first song. Maybe like Purple or something like that.
Yeah, Purple's an insane song. It's an insane song. I remember when Victor was working on mixing it, I was just driving around in my car with my little kids, and we were just listening to that song over and over again. Purple. Yeah, it's a great song. The amazing thing about Dan's songs and the Frightnrs songs to me is that there are certain songs, if they're these great songs, they could be done. You could make that into a country song. Could be a reggae song, could be a punk rock song, could be a soul song, could be anything, because the melody and the lyrics and the chords are great by themselves.
Right.
So it kind of almost doesn't matter what rhythm you put on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of that. You know, so I always think about that. Like I would love to get more artists to kind of like cover some Frightnrs songs, and we did it for 145. The A side was a version of Hey Brother, one of their tunes. You know.
Oh, nice.
So.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate. You know, I know that's it could be a touchy subject, so I really appreciate that you going over that, man. And so, like, you know, coming from like. One thing that intrigues me about you is like your overall life philosophy, you know, going through these hardships that you had to go through, whether it was financial, because I know you've talked about your financial hardships when you first started off, and then, you know, losing peers and everything. Like, what is your life philosophy about that and perseverance, and how where do you get that from, or where did you pick it up and you have some game to share? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think it depends. I have some perspective on that. I mean, as far as hardships, I can't really say that I've had hardships. You know, there are people in the world that are struggling every day to figure out how to eat, that are going through all kinds of abuse, and, you know, all over the world. It's not just, you know, Ukraine, but it's in the States. It's everywhere, man. People are suffering, and there's tough things. And I've been very fortunate, man. I've been very fortunate. You know what I mean? And I did have some financial hardships and stuff, but they were. You know, I just owed a lot of money, and you know, I was sleeping on couches and stuff. I wasn't homeless. You know what I mean? Right. I'd never been homeless. I'd never been. You know, I probably never gone a day without eating. You know what I mean? So I can't really say that I had hardships. But as far as perseverance, man, I think I've always had a little bit of a almost maniacal way of working. I get kind of obsessive about stuff, and I kind of keep it in check. But I just really want shit to be good.
Yeah.
And I think. Whatever I lack in like talent, I make up for in like just being stubborn, like just doing it over and over and over and over again, you know. And I tend to work that way, you know. Just keep working on something until it's better and better, and not concentrate and really try to concentrate on quality over quantity. You know what I mean? I've never been somebody that does a lot of work, a lot of records. I do a lot of work on a few records. You know what I mean? Yeah. And really take kind of
like a work smarter, not harder type of thing.
Just trying to make shit better. You know what I mean? And as you know, I've lost a lot of people, like in the last bunch of years. You know, we lost Sharon, and you know, I lost my mother-in-law, who I was real close with. Then we lost Charles Bradley, and we lost Naomi Shelton, who I was really close with too, and Cliff Driver, and Dan Klein. We lost, you know, we lost a lot of people in a couple of years. It was crazy. It was like within 2 years we lost like, you know, 6 of our, you know, best artists, you know, and that was tough, and I definitely thought a lot at that time about, like, you know, are we going to keep making records? And Neil and I had talks about that, because we've always been kind of the point where it's like, well, if we're not really doing something great, like, let's just stop. You know what I mean? We don't want Daptone to become a shadow of what it was. You know, we don't want it to become like, you know, just a novelty or an idea, or like where we're kind of resting on our laurels. You know what I mean? But you know, we keep getting new shit. I mean, you know, we keep getting, you know, we got all the Penrose acts, and the Sacred Souls are blowing up right now, you know, and then, crazy. You know, James Hunter's, like, those are records worth making. Kochemia, you know, I mean, there's been so much, and now we got this kid Jalen Ngonda that's made an amazing record for us, you know, and you know, so as long as we have something good to do, we're gonna, you know, keep going.
Yeah.
But I mean, I initially wanted to be a high school math teacher,
right,
you know, and I thought if I got a college degree, I'd get a credential and teach math in high school, and I still kind of feel like eventually I'm going to do it. I'm just like, but right now it's like, you know, we got too much, you know, we got too much going on. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's always been a real advantage that I've had is that I didn't really want to be in the music industry. I never, you know, I think there's so many people in the world that have their minds, like their eyes to the stars, just like, oh, I'm going to be the next so-and-so, and like, Beyonce, watch your back, here I come, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I never really had that kind of ambition. I had musical ambitions, like I wanted to make great records, I want things to sound a certain way, and I want to, you know, really like make, you know, do these things that feel good. But in the business side of it, I was never like, I want to own a record company. Like, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, that was not an ambition of mine. And I think because of that, it freed us up a lot. Because we didn't really succumb to a lot of the pressures and the dynamics of, well, you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you have to do that. It's like, oh, you know, your song has to sound like this, and you have to have a video like we didn't really have those pressures because I was like, I don't have to do shit. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of punk rock, like, in the beginning, you know? And
that's right.
And everybody at the label kind of shares that philosophy, like, man, we don't have to do anything. We're doing what we want to do. And the reason why we are where we are, where we're still here, is not a lot of independent labels that are truly independent that have been around 25 years, you know what I mean? The reason why we're still here is because we've done that, you know? It's basically in spite of the music industry. It's not because of the music industry, you know what I mean? And I think, like, by kind of sticking to our guns, we get respect from people who like that music. And if they don't like that music and they don't buy it, we're not going to make different music, you know what I mean? Like, if we can't sell the records, we can't sell the records, but we're just going to make the records that we want to make and make them great, you know.
That's right. So, if they don't like them, then they you know, they didn't.
Yeah, that's fine.
Then you didn't lose anybody.
You
never lost them in the first place.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, you know, talking about like your newer acts and stuff like that, you know. Sorry, I had it right here. Well, actually, you know, a little bit about the Sacred Souls. Sacred Souls, I love that album. The album was amazing. You know, is amazing, and they're getting a lot of shine. Like,
they're blowing up right now.
Yeah, definitely. And it did seem like that, like with the performance there, rightfully so, that they're kind of their premier act. That they're kind of the one that you're showcasing, at least for this time, to really get up on their feet. And so, you know, did you have you know, I know you said with the Frightnrs, he was kind of kicking back. Did you have a lot to do with the Sacred Souls album, and can you kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I worked with them on that album a lot. I put a lot of work into that record. But again, you know, it's their record. You know, they're their songs. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I always feel like the process is what it needs to be. You know, and with them, there's certain things they didn't want or need help with. You know, like Josh doesn't really want help writing lyrics. You know what I mean?
Right.
Once in a while, help him figure out how to phrase something. Oh, maybe this line could go that way or that. Yeah, I mean, we laugh because there's one song where he was, I think it's, what is it? Loving you is easy. It's a song about love being easy, you know. And he had a line about, I've been walking since I was 3, you know. And we had to kind of stop and be like, yo, bro, kind of late. like it's, I know it rhymes, but it's kind of, I know it rhymes, but that doesn't make you sound good. Like, you learn to walk at your 3, you're a little behind the curve. You know, so, as far as their record, so, you know, I you know, obviously I was helping get sounds, help with arrangements, things like that, you know what I mean? Like helping work out, like, maybe a chord here or there, or like a little lick here or there, you know, just working with them on stuff. But they're real easy to work with because they, you know,
they kind of got it together.
They have good chemistry. They've got different pieces of the puzzle. They're very different. They were right next to the fire station, so we get it.
Oh yeah.
But you know, like Sal and Alex are, you know, record heads, you know, and so they're into these rare records and they're into those sounds and those kinds of songs. So they're trying to, you know, they have a sound that they're going for, you know, and that they know what their sound is. So in that way, it's kind of about, you know, again, like listening, kind of respecting that and understanding that sound, understanding the records that they're, you know, their inspirations, so that we could be kind of on the same page where we're going.
Yeah.
And then cool. Josh is kind of on another thing because he didn't really come from that world, but he loves those records. But you know, he's got other influences and stuff too, and he's a real artist. He comes up with you know, these great melodies and stuff that are very kind of unique. I mean, sure, he's got a touch of Marvin Gaye in here and a touch of this and that, but he's got his own thing. And I think the thing with their group is it's that, like, I think Alex and Sal without Josh, they're cool, but that ain't, you know, that's not top of the charts. The same thing, Josh without Alex and Sal is not really, but together I think they have, like,
killing it.
Yeah, they're killing it. They have a lot of pieces of the puzzle, you know what I mean? So it made it really easy to work with them, you know what I mean? They have good songs, they play really nice, they got a really nice touch, they got real good taste. I mean, taste is a big one because they got good taste, so I'm not sitting here trying to, you know, where they think something's cool and I think it's corny, or I think something's cool and they think it's corny. Like, for the most part, you know, we're mostly in line. Once in a while, I think something's cool and they're like, that's corny, and they think something's cool. And that's kind of corny, you know. Right. But you know, we're working in the same direction. I mean, so
that's cool.
Yeah, they're easy to work with, man. And Josh is a great singer.
Yeah, amazing.
He's a great singer, and again, like, he's one of those guys. It's like I don't have to tell him he's flat. He'll come in here and listen. He'll know exactly when his pitch is off, or you know, or sometimes I'll be like, yo, the rhythm is weird on that. And he'll be like, yo, that's on purpose. I want that to lay back a certain way. And I'll be like, all right, dig it. You know what I mean? Like he's a very technically competent singer. You know.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah, no, I mean, Weak for Your Love is probably my favorite Penrose record.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? Just because, like, y'all kind of allowed him to just, like, have free range on that, like, you know what I mean? You know, really crooning, really going in with that, like, singing, like, it was awesome. It was dope. And then lastly, just, or, you know, get into the last questions, you know, if you want to talk a little bit about your new acts, you know, Johnny and Jensen. Jensen.
Yeah. You know, Jensen was singing backup for the Sacred Souls, and they kind of parted ways. But yeah, we put out a 45 on her. That actually the B-side was produced by Anthony Messino, who's been assisting me here for a while. Man, it's a great record, you know.
Right.
But yeah, we got a lot of new stuff, and we just dropped that Lee Fields album. It's a huge record for me personally because I started working with him in 96,
right?
I think.
And I heard you say he's your favorite artist. Like, he's been your favorite artist.
I think he's probably the greatest singer alive at this point, man. I can't think anybody could sing better than him, you know. And I've been a fan of his and a friend of his for 25 years, you know what I mean? And I made an album with him in 97 or 98 or something. And then my partner and I, my last record company, Desco, we kind of split ways. And I didn't have any cash to pay him at the time. And he's always been kind of like, where's the cash kind of guy. So he started working with Philip, and they put out records, and then, you know, Soulfire became Truth and Soul, became Big Crown, you know, and Leon was putting out records with him, and I was always talking to Leon. It's like, Leon's always like, oh, we're just doing one more record with him. And I kept like waiting in the wings. But I've been writing songs for him for 20 years, you know, so I had all these songs in the can that I'd heard his voice in my head singing these songs for years, you know, and so to finally get to do that record for me was huge. That was like a really big one for me. It was one of those things like, that was, I think, maybe the only record in my hand that's like, I want to do that record before I die. Everything else is kind of like, man, this would be great to do, that'd be great. But that was a record that was really important to me, and I worked really hard on it, and he worked really hard, and he sang his ass off, man. So that was a record I'm really, really proud of.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I love it. It's dope. Sentimental Fool's crazy.
Yeah, the whole album, man. He just singing it. And again, you talk about getting out of somebody's way. Like, a lot of what I want to do on his record, like as a producer or songwriter or whatever, it's the same thing, just get out of his way. It wasn't like an opportunity for me to showcase what I can do. It was an opportunity to showcase what he could do. So it's like I was trying to write these simple, you know, bluesy songs where he could just go and do his thing, you know.
That's true.
And he spent a lot of time really digging into these songs and figuring out exactly, we'd go back and forth, figure exactly what the song's about and how he wanted to sing it and when he wanted to bring it up, when he wanted to bring it down, and when he wanted to be gentle, when he wanted to be hard, you know. He put so much into exactly how he wanted to deliver those songs. Like, I don't think I've ever worked on a record, at least the vocals, I don't think I've ever worked as hard on a record as I did with him on that record. Like, getting it sung just right. And yeah, I got no regrets on that one. Yeah, I love that. And you know, the cover shot right here in Fairmont Park.
Oh, yeah, I
mean, Riverside on the map. You know, Riverside on the map.
Yes,
so
sir, yes,
yeah, and there's another. I mean, the Sacred Souls are blowing up. You know, and all these Penrose acts. The Altons are doing great. Vicky Tafoya, Los Yesterdays, and they're all recording more. I'm hoping to work towards more albums with all of them, and they're all recording other stuff with other people and stuff too. There's a lot going on. But there's a singer, Jalen Ngonda, who's really good. I think his single came out already, but there's an album coming out later this year that's unbelievable. I actually have test presses here I'm listening to, and it was produced by Vince and Mike Buckley, who are Vince Chirito and Mike Buckley, who used to back up Charles Bradley in his band, and have been producing stuff like the Resonairs and stuff in Brooklyn, and they produced the record and they crushed it. You know, Jalen can play guitar and piano, right? So he's an unbelievable singer. And he's actually been out with the Sacred Souls recently, opening up for them and singing duets with Josh and stuff. Been pretty amazing. So, yeah, we have a lot of
and when is this album you said it's going to come out?
I think in the fall.
In the fall. Okay.
Yeah. So and Victor, you know, we just dropped there's a second Frightnrs album that came out
Yeah.
Which was all kind of stuff that they kind of worked on and reassembled from vocals that they preserved from Dan. Dan's all over the record, man. It's a great record. But I'm actually, the other record I'm finishing now, I'm just finishing artwork on, is going to proof and masters and stuff right now, is a compilation of Victor's reggae productions for Daptone. And a few that haven't come out yet. Like he cut like Sugar Minot singing One Step Ahead, the Aretha Franklin song stuff before Sugar Minot died years ago and stuff. Right. And there's a bunch of stuff on there that there's a few things that are unreleased, but just stuff that's been on 45 stuff. So it's a whole record of Victor's stuff, you know. And there's a lot of records.
I did cop that Frightnrs cover of Etta James.
Yeah, you know that's on this album.
Yeah, okay,
that's on this album. I'd Rather Go Blind.
Yeah. Which I had to cop it because I mean Etta James lived in Riverside too.
That's right. Etta James lived in Riverside, and Little Richard lived in Riverside.
Oh no.
Yeah, Little Richard was right here. His mom was right here, like in Woodcrest or something like that. I can't remember.
Well, that's cool, man. Yeah. Well, lastly, man, anything you want to announce? You know, about for Penrose, everything. You know.
Well, I don't know when this is coming out, but we got a show. On Valentine's Day.
That's right.
So I don't know if this is out before then, but Valentine's Day we're doing a record release show because we got these 545s dropping, you know.
That's right.
And they're great records, man. Great records.
The Observatory? At the Observatory?
At the Observatory, yeah.
Yeah. Right on, man.
Yeah, Santa Ana.
Dope.
We'll do it, yeah. And thank you for supporting and support all these bands and everything, man. So
of course, man. We have to. Not just, I mean, even if I wasn't a Riverside dude, I mean, this music is incredible, man.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, man.
You too.